up, guys? Great morning, great morning, great morning. I'm Amanda Sapp here on Amazing 102.5 FM. You do good through good station where we're changing lives one listener at a time. So excited to bring to you a guest that I have in the studio with me today. And she's a young lady I've been having a chance to chat with who actually am learning so much from you already. You can say something.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
I am glad that you're here. I'm glad that we're going to be able to chat about what it is that you want the world, want listeners to understand here. Mm-hmm. She is a Mercer Doctoral student and local public health professional. She's passionate, caring, and driven. She is Britney Daniels. Again, welcome to Amazing 102.5 FM.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Now, young lady, may I ask, I know it's not polite to ask a lady how old she is, but I have to know. I got to know. How old are you, young lady?
27.
27 years old. And you're here today talking about social determinants of health and the impact on our community. Yes. First of all, why are you tackling this issue? Why does this matter to you? I understand that you're not even from Houston. You just moved here, or
2019 I moved.
2019 you moved to Houston, but you're originally from Chicago.
Yes.
So tell me how you, as a doctoral student, leave from Chicago to Houston, and why social determinants of health are important to you.
Okay. Well, my journey here to Houston, I'll give a backstory all the way from high school. So I had a mentor in that phase of like junior, senior year that was really encouraging me to go off to school, leave Chicago just to get that experience. During 2015, I was granted the Gates Millennium Scholarship. So that is basically a full-ride scholarship that they grant to selected individuals across the nation, and to pretty much, go as far along as school as you need, as long as you kind of stay focused within specific areas once you pass the master's degree level. So at that point, first generation, I didn't know where I was going to go, but she highly encouraged me to go to Tennessee State University. So I left Chicago, went to Tennessee State, where I majored in health sciences, minor psychology, concentration in public health. Did that, and it was a different experience just because Chicago is, of course, a big city. Diverse in its ways, but still segregated, I'll say. Nashville was a big country, slow pace, but I still enjoyed the environment. So during that time, I was like, okay, I feel like I need to do more. Like, I've reached my capacity here. What can I do next? So I applied for my master's of public health at UT Health School of Public Health, decided to move here. But before that, I just had everything in my car. The only things that I had, I just moved here by myself, started the semester. It was pretty good, learned a lot, met a lot of new people that was from across the world. So I really appreciated that. And so I decided to stay in Houston. I like the diversity, the food. It reminds me of Chicago, but it's not Chicago. I always tell people that it's so different, but I love the culture and the environment that's here. So decided to stay here and, just pursue my work in public health. But then at the time, I'm still enrolled as a student at Mercer University in Atlanta. So my whole interest when it comes to social determinants of health is basically from things I've seen in my community growing up, but then technically know that was the word, right? I think of recent years, especially after the pandemic, public health has just been booming. Everyone wants to do public health. Everyone wants to tackle these different issues, which is great. But I've always had that passion from when I was little, right? Have people in my family that has experienced incarceration, even siblings, right? So for me, it's okay, what can I do to help my family? But then also, what can we do to help our community? So just for a little context, I'll provide a few definitions of social determinants of health, and this is based off Healthy People 2030. Social determinants of health is basically social, economic, and the economic and social conditions that influence an individual or group health outcomes. So we're looking at what persons also call non-medical drivers of health. So that's in anything that is related to economic stability, neighborhood, physical environment, education, food, the community, social context, and even healthcare system. But when it comes to health inequities, it's basically the differences in health that are unnecessary but also avoidable, that are related to those social and economic disadvantages. Recidivism, specifically from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, is basically the rate at which a person are convicted of a new crime after being released from prison. Go ahead.
Tell me about you packing all your things in your car and coming out here. Why did you do that?
So for me, with my scholarship, I'm just so blessed for that opportunity. So I just felt the need to keep going. Um, I actually, before even just packing and leaving, I went to Chicago, got a new car. I was like, if I'm going to Houston, I need a vehicle that can operate. I don't need to be breaking down on the side of the road. So I did that, and then, went back to Nashville, and then drove to Houston, 10 hours. It was like 10, 11 hours. I've never experienced like almost falling asleep with your eyes open. I was like, this drive is long. Mind you, I've drove to Chicago, drove back to Nashville, then drove here. So it was a lot, but what made me do that is just wanting to do something different for my generation. I feel like being first generation always is a lot of pressure. And so I just had to keep going. I kept going, and I was ready for like a new journey. So it always gets me emotional talking about it, but I think it was the best decision I've made.
Why does it get you emotional talking about that?
I think mainly because just me being resilient, understanding that it's a lot of people of color that don't get the opportunities that I was granted. So I'm blessed, and it's for me to share the message to people, to also encourage our community to do all that you can to help someone near to you that you may not know. So I just always have a passion for this, youth, communities that are underserved. We have to do more for our community because you can't do it by yourself.
You're crying right now.
Yes.
Why? Why is this affecting you so much? I heard you say you have family members, you have friends. We were talking about recidivism. You talked about packing all your things and your resilience and getting from here to there, to and fro, continue to strive to reach your goal because this is a passion for you. Yes. Tell me why these tears today.
I think this is just tears of enjoyment in a sense, but then also like accomplishing something, right? The accomplishment I've made in the past, me doing something new that I haven't done before, and really being able to just share the message. It's really emotional, but it's also like joyful. Like people care, people know, the message is spreading across. We may use different terms, but it's something that when we walk out the door, you see it. Do you care about it? Some people, depending on, what their focus is for that day, but just know that if you drive down to that stoplight, you're going to see someone impacted by the social terms of health inequities, just non-medical drivers of health that is impacting them from living their, most healthiest, well-being like lifestyle, but then also being self-sufficient. They're unable to do that. But do you know why? Is it the community that they was raised in? Is it, education? Is it, they didn't have access to healthcare, adequate, equitable healthcare, and that's why they're in a certain situation? Or is it just family support, things that really makes an individual whole? It's a lot of different factors, and it's also like not one solution to it. It's different angles, right? You go from an individual to their community to policy to advocacy. It's different tiers that can really be a solution, but it's just not a one fix.
27-year-old Britney Daniels is in here to be the change she wants to see.
Yes. Yes.
This is powerful.
Aww.
I think about young people, or even people in whatever age they are right now, who may have experienced transition as you have. You mentioned that you're blessed and things like that, and it's important to communicate that because if we're talking about determinants of health, then as you mentioned, why, right? What can we do to allow people access to certain types of opportunities you've been afforded, right? Yes. What does it look like to help someone transition to an opportunity that they've never even seen or thought was possible, right? I feel like hearing stories like what you're sharing with us today are opportunities for people to see, people who can make a change, see that people like you care enough to be that different. That's important that you share this story today, and I thank you for doing that with us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What do you want people to do? How can they help support this effort in driving numbers or recognition to recidivism. You mentioned something about what recidivism is, which is how long it takes to when you get out of jail, if you go back. Explain that again.
Yeah, so basically recidivism, and I think of it a few ways, but it's basically creating or committing a crime after being released from prison. Now, that can be just creating a new criminal offense, but then also maybe someone is on parole or supervision and something happens, whether their ankle monitor is not, charged, and maybe that could be created as intended as an offense or something like that. But it's basically just going back to jail after being released. Why that part is important to know, and like what we can do to, support with change is like resources in our community. We need to have, just more hands on deck, different programming that can help them stay focused on the bigger picture after being released, and not being worried about how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to, I can't go to school, so I have to do this. So, it's kind of a ripple effect of things, but that's pretty much what recidivism is and how that can impact the individual once they're being released. In that social determinants of health, it's all connected.
In your notes here, we mentioned how we can push the needle forward to ensure young adults and adults are set up for success post-release from being formally incarcerated. Now, you mentioned some of those things that are reasons as why people may go back, right? But what can we do? What are some actionable items that we can take in community and also political, I guess? Also, what can we do? And who can do it?
Yes, I feel like anyone can do all of these things, whether it is advocating for policy change. I think more on a systematic level, that's where biggest change happens. Policy, whether that is, shifting changes on requirements for potential jobs or employers and things like that. But then also in the community, whether that is supporting, or of course more organizations coming within the community that is focused on specific things for that individual to be able to keep them occupied, in the sense once they're being released, have something to look forward to. But then also just volunteer at local agencies, supporting. I think those are just a few of course, many things that people can do, but always advocating. Anyone can advocate, right? I feel like I'm advocating right now.
You are
for
totally
a lot
advocating.
of persons whose voices are often unheard. And whether it's a young adult, an older person, an older adult that may have been incarcerated for years, like I'm speaking, to advocate for them, to advocate for when they come home, they can resume as a, how can we say this, a contributing person in society, and not to feel like, oh, I don't know what's going on, everything has changed, I feel like I was normal back in prison. No, we want to welcome them with open arms. You want to provide opportunities, encourage them to, stay on that right path, and just be a helping hand. Everyone needs support. It's not just, they come home and just leave them, as is. It comes at different levels, and that support is needed. So advocating for change, supporting local organizations that's doing the work, but then also just, whatever it is that comes to your heart that you see as a help, whether it's for that individual, maybe in your family, or someone in your community.
You're a doctoral student. I'm saying this right. What do you want to do once you've gotten all your certifications, your degrees, and all your education?
Yeah. I say just continue to work in public health.
You want to continue to work in public health?
Yeah, that's been my passion, and ever since, of course, knowing that, oh, this is public health. Oh, yeah, I like this, working with the community as a whole. So I'm hoping to, of course, get in a leadership position where I can work with similar programs, whether it's working with youth or working with persons that's re-entering into society. Anything in public health, I love, honestly. I have so many different interests, but I'm open, and honestly, the next step, I'll just give it to God, He's going to make the decision. He's going to tell me where to go, but anything public health is really where my heart is, so.
Britney Daniels, she gives a damn. And I'm glad that you're in here today, and I appreciate you for sharing your story with us today here on the Amanda Sapp Morning Show. We do have to wrap this interview up.
Yes.
We'd like to leave fans, followers, listeners, and supporters with something inspiring, something empowering, something they can take within the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend, all the way up to the weekend. Britney Daniels, what do you want to leave us with today?
Just want to say be kind to others. Be kind to others, and always think of a way you can help someone in your community.
How do we find you?
On LinkedIn, my LinkedIn is pretty much the backslash. It will be Brittany, Brittanyr, last name Daniels, Daniels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Hey guys, look, when we come back, we got our question of the day. Stay tapped in, stay tuned in, stay amazing. We'll be right back.